Hello and welcome. It is good to see you. I am glad that you are here for this organizational chart workshop. I've got my workshop assistant here for the moment, at least. That's Malia that you see in the background. We are talking organizational chart or org chart, if you will, today. I'm going to start with a quote from Albert Einstein. He says, quote, "Everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid." End quote. Fish in water is brilliant. A fish trying to climb a tree is going to believe that it's stupid. And the same with your team. We need to get them in the right seat doing the jobs that they were created to do. And that's where the org chart comes in. This might be the most underestimated tool in the toolbox and at your disposal. We can, when you think about it, you've got a room full of gifted people who are brilliant in specific ways. Your business and how those all-stars are organized will greatly impact how the business performs. Now, you could be a smaller operator and it's you and just a couple other people, and you're thinking, well, I don't need an org chart. I don't have a lot of people. And I would tell you that you still need an org chart. When I had my gym, my CrossFit gym years ago, and did my org chart for that, my coach was saying, "You got to do an org chart." And I pushed back, saying, "It's me and 6 part-time people." And he said, "Trust me, build out your org chart, even if you're in every seat on the org chart." And so I did it. And what it helped me do, it helped me think through what the key roles and responsibilities, the functions are in each of the areas of the business. And it allowed me to get organized around those things and allocate the appropriate time and resources to each of the areas. Without that, I found, in the area of sales and marketing, things would be slipping through the cracks. And in the areas of accounting, things would be slipping through the cracks. Now, obviously they don't slip forever. Eventually when crisis hits, you pick it back up. With the org chart in place, I didn't have those crises. With larger organizations, it's like we just talked about, right? You've got a brilliant team. How you organize these gifted people is going to greatly impact how well your business performs. Giving the right people in the right seats, having the right humans growing and healthy in your business is critical, obviously, to the long-term health and growth. So before we get there, we have to back way up, and we have to start with a blank slate and define what the core functions are in the business, the major roles or departments that keep us moving and growing. Now, we believe that there are three primary roles, core functions in each business. There's the commerce. We call them the 3 pillars that your business is built on. There's the commerce pillar, the capacity pillar, and then number 3 is the capital pillar. Now, when we think about commerce, it's your sales and marketing and everything that leads to business coming in. What drives commerce, right? That's that pillar. In the middle, it's the capacity. And that's the ability you have, the capacity, the resources you have that enable you to deliver the goods you provide or the services you provide. Ultimately, it's your capacity and ability to deliver on the promises that your commerce department made to your customers and clients. And then the capital. This is the capital that you have to spend to keep your business moving. And that could be human capital, right? Human resources. What's the human energy you can bring to the equation? It's financial, obviously it's financial capital. What are the finances available to fund the business operations? So you've got your finance, you've got your HR, accounting, maybe your legal department, your admin, all that falls in that capital pillar. 3 core functions, 3 pillars for every business. For-profit, not-for-profit, they're going to have some form of those 3 things, even if we're calling them something different. Okay, in addition to that, so if we're building the business on that, in addition to that, if you can picture a traditional org chart, right? It's usually there's the CEO or the head of the organization, and then maybe the COO, Chief Operating Officer, or President, or whatever that title is. And then from there, we get down into commerce, capacity, capital. In our org chart, we've got the commerce, capacity, capital, and then as we go up a level, we have what we call the operator. And the operator is truly a magical, if you will, a magical human being. They have the ability to manage both the practicality of the objectives and tasks, as well as the humanity of the people and the climate. They hold the long view from the visionary, and we'll talk more about the visionary in just a minute. But so they hold the long view from the visionary while navigating the day-to-day. They instill the culture. Often the visionary sets the culture, but it's the operator that instills this culture and the processes. They are the winsome glue and the authoritative tiebreaker when we're having discussions internally. As I mentioned earlier, this could be called the COO or the president, but they're the stake in the ground, if you will, that stable, that anchor that keeps the visionary from skyrocketing into a new direction. They ensure that what the team commits to gets done. In addition to that, above the operator on our org chart, we have the visionary. Now, this could be the CEO or founder, and often this visionary thinks they can play the operator role as well as lead in their visionary seat. And it's possible, but experience has taught us that it's a rare combination to have all the characteristics needed in one person who can do it really well. Most of the time, they're going to have stronger visionary tendencies or stronger operator tendencies that are going to make them much better equipped for one role or the other, rather than trying to do both. And what I see often as businesses grow, it's the founder is the visionary, is the CEO, and is the operator for a time, because that's they don't have one, right? They didn't start it with an operator or partnership. Maybe they did. I'm working with a company there right now that actually has that exact situation. There's a visionary, and then his second in command, they're actually partners, but is beautifully equipped to be the operator. That's rare. Usually we've got the visionary founder, they start the thing, they do both roles, and it grows, and then it gets to the point where there's enough going on that the visionary kicks in, the operator side gets diminished, if you will, and the business starts to level off. And then they find their operator, and there's a great book called Rocket Fuel that talks about this relationship between visionary and operator. Well, actually, in that book, it talks about visionary integrator. But when these two people come together, it is like rocket fuel for your business. I say all that, if you're a visionary, founder, CEO right now that does not have an operator or does not have one identified, that's okay. We're still going to build the org chart out the same way. We're still going to have the commerce, the capacity, the capital, the operator seat, and the visionary seat. The visionary operator pair is really a foundational to a well-designed business. Don't bypass this idea, Mr. Visionary. If you're in both seats right now, let's put a date, set a goal, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, where you're going to be in a position where you can be in whichever seat you're best in, and you will have the other seat filled by somebody who complements your skill set, so that we have two strong people, strong for each of these seats. Now, we say visionary, and this may sound like an overly fanciful title, but this person, they literally envision the future and then bring it back to the company. They see the potential of what the culture and the market will look like, and how the relationship problems and opportunities are, how all that interplays. They're going to be skilled at creating subsequent solutions as well. They're typically attractive people, either by character, their intellect, their charisma, etc. And while you want them in a brainstorming session, you likely don't want them managing your project. That's why we have operators. The operators manage the projects. This is the classic dynamic duo of two people working well together to do something incredible. So, from top down, visionary, operator, then the three pillars: commerce, capacity, capital. Okay? Now, when we create our org chart, you can build this out in a spreadsheet. You can go into Canva and look for an example. If you like, I can send you a spreadsheet that's got a template of these first 5. Depending on your level, where your business is at, you may have more than this. You may have grown or at a point where you already have a marketing pillar and a sales pillar. So your capacity, your commerce may, or that foundation, instead of the 3 legs, you may have commerce marketing, commerce sales, capacity, capital. So there'd be 4. And maybe you're even to the point where you've got an HR department and a finance department. And now look, that foundation gets even bigger, right? So you got commerce, marketing, commerce, sales, capacity, capital, human resources, capital, financial. And that's okay. Again, I'm not saying you can't have more, but foundationally, we've got the 3. As we're building this out, each seat, so we're going to call each of those a seat on the org chart, and each one needs a mission statement. So create a mission statement for your visionary, create a mission statement for your operator, create a mission statement for your commerce seat, for your capacity seat, and for your capital seat. And this shouldn't be a long, convoluted 2-paragraph mission statement. It should be 1, maybe 2 sentences. Like a very simple example, the commerce. What's the mission of the commerce? It is to increase revenue by attracting more leads and converting them to close sales. That's it. That's why they exist. So you need to do the same for each seat on yours. Once you've got the mission statement, and this should be so that anybody could look at your org chart and really quickly say, oh, that's why that seat exists. That's the purpose of the mission. We know where we're going using that seat. The next thing is to list some core functions for that seat. What are they supposed to do? And so perhaps, and this is just a couple examples, but your commerce seat, they're going to do marketing and they're going to do sales. And you may list a couple others, right? Depending on how creative you want to get. Capacity, they're going to deliver your products. They're going to deliver your service. They are going to they're going to have customer service there, client services, whatever that looks like. Capital, the core functions could be accounting, financial health and future, HR, and legal. 4 things. And there's one other thing, and the same with the operator, 3 or 4 things. And for the operator and then everybody else below them on the org chart, there's this thing that we call CAR, capital C, capital A, capital R. Everybody in the seat needs to be able to drive their car. And CAR stands for 3 things: clarity, autonomy, and results. And this is super important. Each team member, everybody sitting in that seat, has a absolute clarity on what is required of the seat. They have autonomy. Each team member possesses the ability to execute those functions without being micromanaged or neglected. So that's training. It's resourced, and you have to give them permission to do the job. I've got a client who he's a one-on-one coaching client, and he gets his quarterly rock or rocks here to take care of this quarter, but he doesn't have authority to make the decisions to complete the rock. So he's constantly having to basically hand it back up to the person above him on the org chart. And it's a very, very inefficient way to operate and very frustrating for him. So for autonomy, they need to have the knowledge, the training, the resources, and the permission to fulfill the responsibilities of that function. And then the R is results. They know the results they're being held accountable to, and we're regularly following up with them and checking up in on them, measuring and reporting back on the results to ensure that they know and the team knows that they're winning, that they're fulfilling the duties of that role. So that's driving your car. Clarity, autonomy, results. So each person on the org chart needs to know that. Now, if there's somebody, let's just take the operator, the direct reports of that operator are the people sitting in the commerce and the capacity and the capital seat. So not only does the operator have to be able to drive their own car, have clarity on their role and autonomy to do it and know what the results are, they have to provide that for everybody underneath them. And if whoever's in the commerce seat has direct reports, they have to enable their direct reports to drive the car, and so on and so forth. So that's CAR, C-A-R. The next thing we want to do is define or call out the KPIs, the key performance indicators. So in the commerce seat, for instance, if it's marketing and sales, what are the key performance indicators? Is it a number of new leads coming in? Could be sales appointments set. From appointments set, how many conversions to customers did we get, right? So 2, 3, 4 key performance indicators that tell us if the person sitting in that seat is fulfilling on the roles and responsibilities, if they're getting the results that we need that function to get. So do that for each of the seats: commerce, capacity, capital, as well as operator. On the visionary seat, you have the mission still. Call out the core functions there, such as they see the future, they set the tone, they're responsible for the big relationships, set KPIs for them. One thing they don't have is CAR. We don't ask them to set clarity, autonomy, results for anybody below them. That's why we have an operator. Okay, so that's your org chart. 3 foundational pillars: commerce, capacity, capital. Above that, an operator. Above that, a visionary. A mission for each seat on the org chart. Core functions called out for each seat on the org chart. And KPIs. What are the numbers that we're measuring and tracking that tell us whoever's sitting in that seat is doing what is required to help this business grow and flourish and thrive and become the business that we know it can be. And that is your org chart workshop. Now, I'm going to let you go to work on this. If it would be helpful and you would like the spreadsheet, it's actually a spreadsheet that's got about 7 tabs. It's got a lot of the tools that we talk about in SOS, in the Small Biz Operating System. If you'd like that, drop a comment and just say spreadsheet, and we'll get that over to you. Okay. Hope this serves you. And please, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. I'm here every week, bringing more tips, helping you create a business that provides you the freedom you want and creates an environment where your team, your people can thrive, and so can you. Till next time, peace.